Essentially, what we're doing is we're going to be using our superannuation and with some borrowings to go out and buy an investment property. Then we're going to be using the rent from that investment property, plus maybe any future superannuation contributions to pay the interest on the loan and eventually pay back the loan totally. So at the end, you've got a property that's receiving some rent, sitting in this structure that has special tax treatment. And essentially the way the tax treatment works is that the maximum tax that you'll ever pay on the rent or any capital gains going forward is 15%. And that's the maximum tax. It's usually less than that. And in particular, when you're during that pension phase, when you're drawing down off your superannuation monies, there's no tax at all. It's completely tax-free. That's rent and capital gains tax. As an investment, houses are generally fairly well understood. You can touch it and people are very comfortable with houses. The second thing is that you're using your superannuation as the deposit to go out and buy something that's worth more than the amount of money you have. So you can buy something bigger even though you don't have all of that money up front. Whenever you borrow in any capacity, there's always the risk that if you don't keep paying the bank the interest, they'll take the property and they'll sell it on you. And I guess that comes with any sort of borrowing. The structure itself can be a little bit complex, so it's not as straightforward as going out and just buying a property in your own name, which we're generally fairly comfortable with. The other thing with all of this is that because you have borrowings, things like personal risk insurances become more important than they were before, because last thing you want to do is take on a big debt and then have something happen to you where you can't work, or even worse, and then leave a big debt onto that next person. So you need to consider all of your insurances in planning for those sorts of things. We've been doing this for some time, way back in 2007 when these structures first started, and they came under a different name back then. We did a lot of work with a lot of solicitors and accountants to get that structure right and understand exactly how these things work. So we've done quite a few of these. We work with a specialist lawyer who prepares all of the legal documents, so they stand behind us as specialist lawyers as well. And we really are a one-stop shop where we take clients right through from the very first discussion, where we explain what the strategy is, all the way through to the property being settled in the superannuation fund, the rent coming in, insurances in place, and everything is compliant from go to woe. I had a young couple in their 40s, which I guess is young, where they had about $250,000 in their superannuation fund, and they were very keen on buying a business property for their own business. So these guys operated a small business. So what they did is they took their superannuation monies, used that as a deposit to buy a small shop, and then ran their business out of that small shop. The business paid rent to the superannuation fund, got a full tax deduction for paying the rent to the superannuation fund. The superannuation fund used that rent plus the super contributions, and in this particular case it was a husband and a wife that were putting in like $25,000 each. So they used all of that monies to pay this loan out in about 6 or 7 years, and they ended up with a property that their business was operating out of, that they bought 5 or 6 years earlier, that's now worth a lot more than they paid for it, and they paid the whole lot off with concessionally taxed money. It was great when you see the security that people have, where they don't feel that they're going to get thrown out of their premises and they now own it, and it's a great feeling.